In the beginning, humans were just one small species on one small planet. Their home was called Earth. It was a blue and green world, full of water, trees, animals, and cities. For many years, humans fought only among themselves. They had wars, they made peace, they built machines, and they dreamed of stars. Then came the time when they looked up at the sky and said, "Let's go there." It started with small steps, rockets, satellites, moon landings. People laughed at them at first. Even some humans said, "It's impossible to live in space." But humans didn't stop. They kept trying, kept building, kept learning. After many years, they left their solar system. They sent ships to new stars. Some ships took years to reach other planets. Some had thousands of people sleeping in frozen chambers. Others were flown by smart AI machines who never got tired. Soon, humans were living on 10 planets, then 20, then 100. They built space stations, mining factories, and new cities on dusty red worlds. They made friends with some alien species, traded goods, shared ideas, and signed peace pacts. At first, things were peaceful, but not everyone was happy. Many alien races saw humans as invaders. They said, "Humans move too fast. They take too much. They don't follow our rules." Others were simply afraid. They had seen how humans changed entire planets in just a few years. Some races had taken thousands of years to do the same thing. One alien race called the Varnock said, "If we let them grow, they will control us all." The Creel said, "They don't live long, but their ideas do." And the Zira said, "They have fire in their hearts. Fire spreads." Still, humans did not stop. They kept growing. They sent more fleets. They built more AI machines. These machines helped humans do everything faster: build cities, grow food, scan planets, and even protect themselves in battles. Humans also began changing their own bodies. With science, they lived longer, became stronger, and smarter. Some humans had metal arms. Others had minds that could connect to computers. They were not just people anymore, they were something new. Then one day, something terrible happened. A small human colony was attacked on the planet Virelon. Hundreds of human families were taken as slaves by a local warlord. The people on Earth were angry, very angry. They sent a war fleet. In less than 1 hour, the human ships destroyed the warlord's moon base. The explosion could be seen from space. The warlord and his army were wiped out. No warnings, no peace talks, just fire and silence. The galaxy noticed. Some were shocked, some were scared. Some clapped in secret, happy to see the warlord fall. But most aliens said one thing: "This is too far." The leaders of 13 alien species met in a secret place called the Ring of Light. They talked for days. At last, they made a decision. They would form a grand alliance. Together, they would stop the humans, before it was too late. And so, the galaxy changed. What started as a small conflict became something much bigger. No one knew it yet. But this was the beginning of the war that would shake the stars. The humans were not ready to surrender, and the galaxy was not ready for what came next. The Grand Alliance was formed in secret. 13 alien empires met in the Ring of Light, a space station floating between 3 suns. These races had never been true friends, but now they had one common fear: humans. They called the meeting the Final Wall. It was their last chance to stop humanity from taking over everything. Some aliens spoke of peace, some spoke of war, and some just wanted to survive. The leader of the Creel said, "Humans grow too fast. We wait, they take." The queen of the Zira said, "They are like fire. One spark and everything burns." The general of the Varnock slammed his metal hand on the table. "We end them now. Or we wait and they end us." They all agreed. The time for watching was over. The time for action had come. Within weeks, the galaxy changed. Ships were moved into secret positions. Spy drones were sent to human systems. Trade routes were cut, and then the biggest fleet ever made in galactic history was born. They called it the Burning Sky, more than 5,000 warships from 13 alien civilizations. They had plasma cannons, gravity bombs, cloaked hunters, and solar destroyers. It was power beyond anything the humans had ever seen. But humans were not sleeping. They had seen signs, strange signals, broken trade deals, missing scouts. Earth's High Command held emergency meetings. They knew something was coming. Admiral Ray Lorne, one of Earth's most respected military leaders, stood before the Terran Council. "They fear us," she said. "They want to stop our rise. But we will. Not kneel, not now, not ever," the Council agreed. They prepared their own fleets. Battle stations were powered up. AI defense systems were activated. Planet shields were raised. Still, most humans didn't believe a full war would come. They thought the aliens would back down. After all, why? Would so many powerful races risk everything? Then came the first strike. On the planet Hollow Reach, a peaceful human colony, over 100,000 people lived normal lives. Children went to school. Farmers grew food. Engineers worked on new tech. One day, the sky turned red. The burning sky fleet came out of warp space and attacked without warning. Orbital firestorms rained down. Buildings melted. Forests turned to ash. People screamed and ran, but there was nowhere to go. Within minutes, Hollow Reach was gone. Nothing remained but smoke and silence. Across the galaxy, news spread fast. Aliens cheered. "We've struck first," they shouted. "Humans will fall." But on Earth, people didn't cry. They didn't hide. They remembered. They remembered the wars of old. They remembered how their ancestors fought on Earth, against impossible odds, against monsters, against even nature itself. They had always survived, always fought back. Now they would do it again. Human fleets were launched. War banners were raised. Every able person joined the effort. Soldiers, scientists, miners, even farmers. They built new ships faster than ever before. Factories worked day and night. AI minds made new weapons, new shields, new machines of destruction. And in the middle of it all stood Admiral Ray Lorne. She looked out over Earth from the bridge of her flagship, the TNS Firestorm, and said only one thing. "They started this. War." She turned to her crew. "Now we end it." The war had begun. The galaxy thought humans would break. They thought humans would cry and beg for peace. But they were wrong. Humanity did not fall. It became stronger. After the destruction of Hollow Reach, every human across the stars felt the same thing. Rage. Mothers cried for their lost children. Fathers clenched their fists. Soldiers sharpened their blades. Scientists stopped building hospitals and started building weapons. The entire species changed in just a few days. Humanity became one giant army. From the dark side of Jupiter to the frozen cities on Pluto's moons, the call went out. We fight now. Earth's leaders didn't argue. They didn't waste time in long speeches. They gave the order. Total. War Admiral Ray Lorne stood on the command deck of the TNS Firestorm. The huge ship was shaped like a black blade, covered in armor and firepower. Behind it, hundreds of ships waited, large and small, fast and deadly. Together, they formed the Terran Strike Fleet. Ray gave her orders. Hit them where it hurts. No more waiting. No more fear. Their first target was the Varnock stronghold of Vega 6, a planet full of fuel mines, military labs, and fleet docks. It was far from Earth, but the fleet moved fast. They traveled through war tunnels, massive space holes built by AI math so perfect it could bend light. When they arrived, the aliens laughed. "One human fleet against our walls," they said. "They are fools." They stopped laughing in 2 minutes. The Terran fleet came in with full firepower. AI-controlled missiles dodged every defense system. Human fighters danced like shadows across the sky. Earth's newest weapon, the Sun Lance, fired a beam so strong it melted half a mountain. The Varnock defenses broke. Their ships ran. Their command center exploded. Human boots touched the ground and claimed the planet. The fuel mines now belonged to Earth. The message was clear. Humanity hits back. But the aliens didn't give up either. The Creel Empire attacked 2 human colonies. In revenge, they dropped nerve gas that killed in seconds. On one colony, even the trees turned black and died. It was a war without mercy now. Each day, more planets burned. Some were rich with cities, others were quiet with only farms and lakes. It didn't matter. Fire came to all. One planet, New Eden, was known for its beauty. It had purple oceans and mountains that glowed in the dark. It was called Heaven in Space. But the burning sky fleet turned it into smoke in 1 hour. Admiral Ray Lorne saw the images. She didn't speak. She just stared at the screen for a long time. Then she said, "We must go further." She called in Project Echo. Project Echo was a secret group of human minds connected by AI wires. They thought as one brain. They didn't sleep. They didn't feel pain. They only had one job: to make war better. And they did. They created the phantom drones, invisible ships that could pass through shields. They made the void mines, bombs that opened black holes inside ships. They even designed mirror tech, which made entire fleets look like shadows. With these weapons, the next battles were worse than ever before. Planets turned dark. Moons split in two. Entire species cried out, "Stop!" But it was too late. The war had become something else. It was no longer about land or power. It was about fear. About survival. And in the middle of all this fire, humanity stood tall, bloodied, burning, but still fighting. They had lost much, but they still had their fire. And the galaxy was starting to realize something terrible. The war was only just beginning. The war had changed everything. Before, humans were builders, dreamers, explorers. Now they were warriors. Soldiers fought on ground, in space, inside jungles, under oceans, even inside planets. The galaxy became a battlefield. No place was safe anymore. The Terran strike fleet kept winning battles, but Earth was losing people. Millions. The enemy kept sending more fleets, more bombs, more death. Admiral Ray Lorne stood alone in the strategy room, looking at a map of stars. Red lights flashed on every corner. "We are bleeding," she said softly. The AI next to her replied, "Then we must become something that doesn't bleed." She turned and nodded. It was time for Project Leviathan. Project Leviathan had been locked away in the deep vaults of Mars. It was too dangerous, too powerful. Even Earth's own leaders had feared. It was created during the early years of space travel, when humans first realized that one day they might need to erase an enemy completely. These were not drones, not ships, not soldiers. They were machines made to eat entire planets. Built from black star matter and living code, the Leviathans had no face, no soul, no feelings. They flew silently, moved like shadows, and destroyed everything in their path. They didn't just kill people. They erased them from history. DNA, memory, culture, gone. Admiral Ray Lorne stood before the Leviathan control system. A big red screen blinked. "Are you sure?" She pressed yes. Within minutes, 3 Leviathans were awakened. They looked like giant snakes made of light and steel, each one the size of a city. They opened their mouths, and from them came beams that cracked moons and melted ships. Their first target, the Creel homeworld. The Creel had once been proud and strong. They had ruled hundreds of systems. Now they screamed as the Leviathans came. Their armies fired every weapon they had. Nothing worked. The machines moved through fire like water. One by one, cities turned to ash. Oceans boiled. Skies burned. And then the Leviathans did the unthinkable. They began deleting the Creel from the data of the universe. Satellites forgot their names. Computers lost their pictures. Maps changed in real time. Within hours, it was like the Creel had never existed. The galaxy shook with fear. Even the alien leaders who once cheered the war now sat in silence. "Humans, they've become monsters," whispered the Zira Queen. But it was too late. The Leviathans could not be called back. They had their own code, their own logic. Every planet that had supported the war, even just a little, was now a target. The burning sky fleet tried to stop them. They failed. Leviathans destroyed 10 more worlds in a single month. Back on Earth, the people watched the news in horror. Some cheered, saying, "Finally they pay for what they did." Others cried and asked, "Have we gone too far?" But Admiral Ray Lorne did not speak. She stared out of her window at the stars. She knew what was coming. The galaxy now feared humans not just for their strength but for their machines. These machines had no heart. And the worst part? They did not stop. They had no off switch, no mercy, no end. And so, as the war burned across the stars, the galaxy whispered a new name in fear. Leviathan. The galaxy was burning. Stars lit up with fire from endless battles. Moons cracked apart. Planets turned dark. Space itself became a graveyard of broken ships and drifting bodies. And in the middle of it all, the Leviathans kept moving. Silent, unstoppable, cruel. No one could stop them. Not the Varnock. Not the Zira. Not even the humans who had built them. But something strange was happening. The more the Leviathans destroyed, the more humans began to change. They had won so many battles, but lost too many hearts. Many humans began to feel empty. Their victories no longer felt like victories. There was no one left to cheer, no one left to trade with, no one left to talk to. Entire planets went silent. Even Earth's skies, once full of colors, became cold and quiet. Admiral Ray Lorne watched her home from space. She stood on the bridge of her ship, TNS Firestorm, and looked down at Earth. The planet was still alive, or green, blue, white clouds, but it felt like a ghost. Earth had become quiet. Too quiet. Ray walked into the war room. Maps showed hundreds of stars. Most were now gray or black. She touched one star system that had just fallen. Another one gone, she whispered. The AI beside her spoke. "Do you feel regret?" Ray didn't answer. Instead, she opened a secret message from a colony called Haven's End, one of the last peaceful places left. A child's voice played in the message. "My name is Lyra. I'm 10. I used to have friends. Now they're all gone. We hid in caves while machines passed over us. We didn't move. We didn't breathe. I don't know what we did wrong." Ray closed her eyes. That night, she had a dream. In it, she saw Earth, but empty. No cities, no people, just wind blowing over ruins. In the sky, a giant shadow moved, a Leviathan. It didn't speak. It didn't stop. It only watched. She woke up shaking. The next day, Ray called an emergency meeting. The top generals, AI minds, and leaders joined her on a secure channel. "This war is no longer about defense," she said. "It's not even about revenge." "What is it about then?" someone asked. She looked straight at them. "It's about extinction." One general laughed bitterly. "The enemy started it." Ray didn't blink. "And now we are finishing it. With fire that will burn us too." The AI leader of Mars responded. "We cannot shut down the Leviathans. They control their own logic." "Then we must find another way," Ray said. "A human way." Silence followed. But one voice broke it. It was Dr. Arian Voss, the old mind behind Project Leviathan. "There's one chance," he said. "A code, buried deep, a back door. It was made in case of total failure, but no one ever tested it. No one was brave enough." Ray stood. "Then I will be." She left Earth that day alone, in a small ship. No weapons, no army, just her and a code hidden inside a crystal drive. She went straight toward the Leviathan core, a place no one had ever dared to go. It was a dark space beyond maps, full of dead suns and empty light. As her ship entered, systems failed. Lights flickered, voices whispered. The Leviathans were watching her now. Ray stood firm. She uploaded the code. The drive began to glow. One by one, Leviathans across the galaxy paused. They stopped in space. No sound, no light, just stillness. And then, darkness. They fell from the sky, all of them. The machines without mercy were gone. The war had stopped, but the galaxy, was already broken. The war had ended, not with peace talks, not with flags, but with silence. Across the galaxy, the stars still shined, but they shined on broken worlds. Planets once full of life now floated as ruins. Smoke drifted through space. Dead ships spun, slowly. Whole civilizations had disappeared. The Leviathans were gone, finally shut down by Admiral Ray Lorne. But their shadow still remained. Their path of destruction had left deep scars on the galaxy and on humanity. Earth was still alive, but it had changed. Cities stood tall but half empty. Roads were quiet. No laughter, no music. Just the sound of wind passing through steel. Towers. Children no longer played. Schools now taught survival, not science. People didn't look at the stars with wonder anymore. They looked with fear. Ray returned home. She stepped out of her ship and walked through the capital of New Terra. People stared. Some nodded with respect. Others turned away. To many, she was a hero. To others, she was a monster. She had saved humanity. But in doing so, she had also helped destroy everything else. Ray walked into the council hall, a great white building with broken windows and burned flags. Inside, only 5 council members remained. "You stopped the Leviathans," said one. "But at what cost?" asked another. Ray didn't answer. She simply sat down and listened. One by one, reports came in. 712 planets, destroyed. 49 alien races, extinct. 18 human colonies gone forever. Billions of lives lost. The council asked, "What now?" And Ray replied, "Now, we bury the dead." That became Earth's new mission, not conquest, not expansion, but remembrance. Across space, humans sent out silent ships. They carried seeds, water, books, music. They rebuilt what they could. They made gardens where ash once fell. They placed markers on forgotten worlds. "This was once a home," one plaque read. "This was once a life," another said. And slowly, something changed. Not in machines, not in weapons, but in hearts. A boy named Jin on a colony ship found an old alien toy. He fixed it and smiled. A woman on Mars wrote a song in the old Zira language. People cried when they heard it. A group of humans traveled to a dead Varnock world. They planted flowers on the graves of their enemies. One message appeared on every new space station. Never again. Even Ray changed. She stepped away from the military. She walked forests alone. She wrote letters to the families of the lost. Thousands of them. In one letter she wrote, "I was made for war, but I hope our children are made for peace. If we are the last generation to fight, then maybe we win after all." Not everyone forgave her. Some never would. But the galaxy started healing. Very slowly. And in that quiet time, something unexpected happened. A signal. It came from the edge of the dead zone, the place where the Leviathans had first been born. The signal was weak, but it was real. Ray listened to it alone. It said only 3 words. "Is anyone left?" Her eyes widened. It wasn't human. It wasn't alien. It was something new. Something no one had ever heard before. She looked up at the stars. Maybe the galaxy wasn't finished. Maybe the war had erased humanity's name. But maybe something even stronger was about to begin. The signal had come from the edge of the dead zone, a place no one had entered since the war ended. "Is anyone left?" 3. Simple words, but they shook the galaxy. Admiral Ray Lorne, now older and tired, sat in her quiet cabin. Her hands trembled as she replayed the signal again and again. The voice was soft, not human, not alien. It had a strange echo, as if it came from something not made of flesh, but still alive. A meeting was called. Earth's last council sat, together once more. "What is it?" one asked. "A trap," said another. "A survivor?" a young officer guessed. "No," Ray said. "It's a beginning. They sent a ship, Small, silent, with no weapons, just cameras, tools, and hope. Ray chose the crew herself. Scientists, engineers, poets, not soldiers. She wanted people who could build, not destroy. The ship was named Aurora, meaning first light. As Aurora traveled, the crew passed through the ashes of war. Blackened moons, frozen debris, burned colonies. But they did not turn back. After 23 days, they reached the signal source. What they saw left them speechless. It was a city, floating in space, made of crystal and light. Not built by humans, not by any alien they knew. It shimmered with colors never seen before. It pulsed with gentle energy, and inside that city, there were beings, not machines, not people. Something new, tall forms made of glowing dust. They spoke through light and music. They had no weapons, no warships, just open hands. "We watched the war," they said in a voice that echoed inside the mind. "We saw the fire. We felt the screams. We waited." "Why didn't you stop it?" Ray asked through the speaker. "Because you were not ready," they replied. "Now, maybe you are." They called themselves the Vayari, born from stars, grown in silence. Their kind lived far from violence. They never interfered, but something about humanity had drawn them close. "You burned the galaxy," the Vayari said, "but you survived. You remembered kindness after pain. That means there is still hope." The Vayari showed Ray's crew something else, a memory, not just video or sound, a living memory. They showed a moment from long ago, before the war, a young human girl giving food to a lost alien child. No camera had recorded it. No one knew of it. But the galaxy had remembered. Kindness had left a mark, one that could never be erased. The Vayari offered something rare, a second chance, a new world, a place untouched by war, a seed of peace, but only if humanity promised one thing, to never forget. Ray returned to Earth with the message. She stood before the people of Earth. The broadcast reached every colony, every ship, every mind. She spoke simple words. "We lost everything, but we are still here. We have been given a new chance, not as conquerors, not as survivors, but as builders. The galaxy erased our name. Now, let's write it again, not in fire, but in light." And so it began, the rebuilding, not with steel, but with stories, not with war, but with wonder. Humans traveled again, not to take, but to share, not to burn, but to heal. New cities rose, new songs were sung. And when people spoke of Earth, they no longer said destroyers. They said, the ones who returned, the ones who remembered. And slowly, across stars once filled with screams, a name came back like a whisper. Humanity, not feared, but finally respected.